After a fairly mammoth video yesterday, let's see if we can get through this one a little more snappily. Hi, I'm Brian from Airflow Music. Welcome back to another video. This is day 29 of our Go Practice Daily series. Where does the time go? Anyway, I tell you where the time went yesterday. It went into that mammothly long video between the slower version of exercise 2 and also explaining some things along the way. It got really long, so I'm determined to keep this one shorter, despite me babbling on. Anyway, we're currently playing set 5. If you don't have set 5 already, you will find a link to the downloadable PDF in the description below this video. Please go ahead and grab it. I'm going to get straight into this one. So, set 5 exercise 1. We're now playing the minor thirds, but other than that, this is the same thing that we've been doing. So, the rules remain the same. We're going at 60 beats a minute. I'm focusing on playing in time, so I'm tapping my foot and subdividing the beat. I'm breath starting the first note of each phrase and attempting to breathe in time on the rest bar. I'm treating this as long setting. You may or may not be, but because I'm playing it long setting, I'm keeping the mouthpiece on my lips throughout and breathing through my nose. Okay? Not too much else to say about this one, so let's crack into it. Okay, so that was exercise 1. When I played this morning, I'm actually recording these links later, but I remember that it took me a few lines to get my response in place. It was fairly soon after my warm-up that I recorded these this morning, because I had rehearsals and things to be at during the day. And so it took a moment for my response to line up and for it to bring my chops into balance. But that's also one of the purposes of playing these things every day, and it's why it's good to do it fairly early. I do like to warm up first to make sure that everything's mostly happening, but it's a really good way to get things kind of locked into place. And certainly during the day my chops felt very reliable, so that was good. Yeah, so as I say, it took a little while to get going, but once I did, after a few lines of the exercise, everything seemed to be pretty much in place as far as I was concerned. So I was fairly happy about how that went. How are you getting on with your exercise 1s? Are we liking the wider interval? Is that causing any problems for anybody? As always, your feedback or questions are always welcome. Please leave them down below. With that, let's get on to exercise 2. Now, today we are speeding this back up to 72 beats a minute. I really enjoyed playing it slower yesterday, and if that was something that you enjoyed too, you can always refer to that video if you prefer to play along at a slower tempo. But I want to keep moving with this. It was good for me to go slow yesterday so I could figure out what I was doing a little more, but I do want to keep this moving and try and bed in this concept of getting the slurs nice and even and nice and smooth. Particularly the alternate fingering slurs, the things which are similar to flexibilities. Okay, so that's what we're going to get into right now. So we're going at 72 beats a minute. We have 3 bars of 16th notes or semiquavers, and the articulation pattern will be the first bar is slurred, second bar is tongued, and then the third bar, 2 beats each, slurring and tonguing. Okay, this one is not a long setting exercise, so on the 2 bars rest, please get the horn off your lips and reset in time for the downbeat after the 2 bars rest. And please don't forget to observe the fingerings. If there's alternate fingerings marked on the first note of a line, then they continue, and that's the fingerings you use for that entire line of the exercise. Okay? Good. Let's get into it. Okay, so that was my exercise 2 for today, and generally I thought that went fairly well, as I recall. Thinking back to it from earlier, I don't remember there being anything particularly strange about it. So, yeah, I was certainly feeling much smoother and much more together dealing with the alternate fingering lines and the slurs in general. I didn't feel nearly as hurried as I did on the first day, and yeah, overall felt pretty good about that. How are you finding this, and how is this with it back up at 72 beats per minute? In time we'll move these things faster still and really start to feel like we're playing flexibilities and developing towards skills like lip trills. But in the meantime, this is a good way to build it up and get these things starting to happen. Okay? How are you finding the amount of motion in your chops? Still suffering with some corner shake as you deal with the faster moving things? Or is that mostly staying under control? I'm finding it staying pretty much under control because of the stability exercise. Okay? Again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. It's always good to hear. With that one, like I say, I'm going to try and keep this quick. So I'll leave it here for today. If you have enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll be back with the next one, our 30th daily video tomorrow. And until then, you know very well what to do. Go practice.